Call to order the Salem School Committee meeting, our regular committee meeting of June 2nd, 2025, 7 p.m. This meeting is taking place in person at 29 Highland Avenue, room 227. You can also join via Zoom using the link posted in the meeting agenda. Our first item of business is approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Member Campbell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The matter carries. The agenda is approved. Public comment. The Salem School Committee would like to hear from the public on issues that affect the school district and are within the scope of the committee's responsibilities. Spanish interpretation is available for anyone who needs it. The members of the school committee would like to remind the public that Salem Public School students regularly attend school committee meetings. We encourage all meeting participants to model respectful and productive public discourse for our young learners. Have you, any public comment in the chambers?
Hi. Good evening, Mayor Pangallo, Dr. Zreich, and members of the school committee. I am pleased to announce the recipients of the Salem Teachers Union scholarships for the 24-25 school year. We presented 4 $1,000 awards to the following students from Salem High School. I'm going to hope I don't butcher these names. Mariangela Diaz, Linus Owen, Mark Qualkenbush, who is not here this evening, and Isaiah Raja Romero. To qualify, the students had to take the AFL-CIO labor exam, and the top 4 scorers for Salem earned the scholarship from Salem Teachers Union. This year, 9 students sat for the exam. Many thanks to the public who purchased raffle tickets to support the fundraising for the program, and a special thanks to Mrs. Miranda for overseeing this at the high school. So for those of you who don't know, the AFL-CIO labor exam is a really hard exam. I took it, and I did not score well. I have since studied, and I scored better the second and third time I took it. But it is really hard. If anybody ever wants to look at it, I can get it to you. And these students certainly earn the money, and the scholarship is unlimited for whatever they need. For it's not just for college. If they're going into a trade, for tools, for uniforms, for whatever they need to move forward in their career. So I just wanted to let the public know. I always hold this until after senior awards night so that they can get their award and be surprised. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to the students. Additional public comment in chambers? Is there?
Good evening, members, students, everyone here available. My name is Richard Hyatt. I'm actually a pastor of House of Promise Church. I came just to discuss the voting on whether we should have religious organizations be a part of the schools or not. I was here the last time for the last meeting, and the one thing that I just was convicted by was just maybe a misunderstanding on what we do and what the school does. We're very similar in what we're trying to present to the students, which is having an opportunity or an outlet to express what's going on with them, right? When we were here, I was sitting here listening to all the students that were doing these, having great achievements. And the one thing that we all have in common was we're trying to look for the best interests of the students. So when I found out that we might not be here no more, though, I was like, man, what can I say or at least do to present that we are united, right? We might not have the same beliefs, but that's not what this world is about. This world is about us uniting for the betterment of these beautiful kids, right? So they don't have to live maybe some of the bad or rough childhoods that we had, and they can be better or have a better step forward to be able to take on life, right? We all know it's not easy. We all know it's difficult, right? But like I said, what I wanted to extend to everyone here is we are not against anybody, right? No matter our religious beliefs, there's no one against anyone. What we're here for is to unite so we can have the one common goal of helping these students. The reason why I actually even wanted to come into the schools was because of that. A lot of the students don't know how to express themselves at home, and they don't know how to express themselves at school. So I told my wife, what better opportunity than actually do it in a school and give these students an opportunity to express themselves in a way that they normally don't. That's why I look like this, right? If you see, I have my church members here. Most of them are from this community. When I say most, I mean all, okay? And they all had their, their trials, their tribulations, their, for the lack of a better term, issues when it comes to that specific thing of being able to express what they're dealing with. And my goal in life is to make sure that we continue to give an outlet for them to do that. They get the education, right? And they sometimes even get the emotional support. But I know you know, and I know that emotionally, we don't want to talk about that with certain people in school, right? So we're just another outlet that we can help do that. So I want us to just have a different perspective on us working together rather than us combating each other, all right? That's it, all right? My name is Richard. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Yep.
Hello to the school committee and everyone. My name's Kendra Key, and I was a Salem resident back in 2012, moved to Connecticut for a few years, just moved back, and I'm a pastor as well, and I'm a pastor at Calvary in Linfield. We have some of our congregant members here as well, and we currently meet in the Salem High School on Wednesday nights. We have a community group there. It's been an awesome experience working with Z and the facility staff there. They're amazing. I love the city of Salem. I love everything about Salem. So much, in fact, that I actually named my firstborn son Salem. He just turned 3 in December, and I also have a 1-year-old. So I'm a mom, which is like my favorite thing about life. But my family truly loves Salem, and our church loves Salem. We actually have 300 or more people, active members of our church, who are Salem residents, and they travel from Salem to Linfield, to Calvary Christian Church. And so this coming fall, our hope is to launch a Salem campus for our church. We've done many launches before in other communities as well that have gone really successfully. And our heart and our desire is truly just to partner with the city because we love the city. And we would just love that opportunity to still come and be a part. We're already doing a lot with the city. We work with LifeBridge, with the North Shore Community Development Coalition, with the Salem Food Pantry. All just have been incredible experiences. We love serving this community. And so we would love to be here and be a part. And so we're truly excited to do that. And our hope would be to be at the high school. It's just an awesome facility. As you all know, it's a beautiful space. And we would just love the opportunity to be there on Sundays with our church. Our hope is to launch with about 250 people. And so that's going to be, hopefully we can get just everything in order. And again, like we've looked at other rental facilities, other places to go. But when we saw the high school, we just thought this would be such an amazing partnership. And so when I met with Z and Pat and some of his staff and send an email to Principal Burns, we said, listen, we just think this could be an awesome partnership opportunity. Of course, number one, you'd be getting the thousands and thousands of financial dollars, benefit of us renting, but then also we don't want to just be here and use the school. We want to partner and serve the students. So we would love to buy a sound system for the auditorium, a light system, because we happened to see the drama teacher there and she was saying, well, we rent this stuff for like 2 weeks. The students don't really get a lot of time to work with it and learn the systems. And we were like, wow, that's off the bat an awesome way that we could serve this community and the students in purchasing that. If we're using the space, we might as well leave it there, let them learn and grow from it. So again, just another example of how we just hope to come in and love the community. We were part of a church in 2012, a Remix Church in Salem. We were met at Bentley Elementary, had an awesome experience there. For many years we were there. We did the Boo Bash annually. So again, just looking for ways to serve the community and to just be a part of what the community is doing. I think that I would just hope that you could consider and just think on that before making a decision on the proposed change to the policy. The thing that I love about Salem the most is that Salem has worked very hard as a city to be a place that is accepting and loving and inclusive of all people from every walk of life, from every belief system, free to express themselves. And so we want to be a part of that. And we just want to be something in the city that can bring hope and serve the community. So I hope you would consider that tonight. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further public comment from the chambers?
Good evening. My name is Alicia de Peña. I am a Salem resident. I'm a parent of students, and I'm also a pastor in the city of Salem. And I'm going to go with my pastor, my brother, says that we have a common goal, and the goal is for the children. I'm actually testimony of not being able to have that relationship to talk to my mom, not have teachers understand me, but yet I found a relationship with God. And it's not that we're going to push anyone into that, but it is a way out. We have to give the children nowadays the options. I mean, the conflicts, the fights in the city, the things that students are going through, we just want to give them another option. We just don't want the doors to be closed where we can come in and just be relaxed and say, hey, how you doing today? How's it going? Let me talk to you about my testimony. Let me talk about you, who I was in the city, how I grew up in the Point, and today who I am today. So we would love for you guys to consider that before any decisions, because there's the transformation for these kids that needs to happen. And I'm not saying we're the only solution, but I am saying we are one of the solutions. Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Any further public comment from the chambers? Any public comment on Zoom? Nope. All right. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. These are the minutes from the school committee meeting of May 19th. Approval of a field trip to Canby Lake Park on June 20th. Approval of the field trip to Walt Disney World on August 21st to the 25th. And approval of the warrants of May 22nd and May 29th.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
Motion made by Member Cruz, seconded by Member Campbell. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries.
Mayor, I just wanted to note that we approved those field trips. So for anyone that was in the public waiting to see if those would get approved, that's all set.
Thanks. Okay. Student representatives report. None.
I can
you have
I can just update. We had a, I guess I'm the student representative for tonight, but the students, we had a great meeting today. We had the students from Salem High and the Superintendent Advisory Committee went to New Liberty and got a tour of the school. It was the coolest field trip to watch, having high school students leading other high school students. They were nervous giving tours to one another, but the New Liberty crew did a great job of showing off their school. We had pizza, and we talked about next year. We had speeches for the chair and the vice chair. We had 2 students who wanted to be considered for vice chair, 2 students for chair. And so we will have a school committee. They're going to vote over the next week and a half. So we'll have somebody for the student rep as soon as before the end of the school year. One of the things that the students did, which I really appreciated, is they decided to automatically select a New Liberty student to serve as the vice chair, so that there would be and that's going to be Nevin LeBron, who is an excellent young man. I think he's a Saltonstall grad, right? Excellent representative, and he will be, they wanted to have somebody who would represent the views of New Liberty. We're still trying to work on getting a Salem Prep student to be active, trying to do some recruitment there. But the group has really strengthened in this year. They want to do more next year. They want to meet with the school committee more regularly, and they want to make by the end of the meeting, they were telling me what I needed to do to make sure that it was more productive next year. But I feel like we're going to be off to a strong start. We already have about 15 returning students for next year, and they will want to open up to incoming freshmen across the campuses for next year. I will just say they feel very strongly that they want to talk about supporting newcomer students and how we have stronger orientation for newcomer students. They're very interested in still talking about, they want more flexibility at lunch periods. They left very jealous that New Liberty students can leave for lunch if they're 16. So there was a whole discussion about that. There was a lot of discussion about the yonder pouches, as there always are, and their concerns about the enforcement across the high schools. And they also want, and I really appreciated this, they want to make sure that the opportunities that exist at each campus are available to all students. So they want to continue to open up the Salem High opportunities to all of New Liberty and Salem Prep. And there are some really unique opportunities that New Liberty has that Salem High doesn't have, and they want to try to figure out ways for students to take advantage of that as well. But it's really cool to see how proud all the students are of their schools, and also their constructive critique of what we can do better as a school system. So I look forward to letting you know who the new student rep will be on the school committee. I hope these people in the front row will be speaking to us shortly. Will join the student advisory committee when they come to high school, and maybe one day they'll be the student rep, and maybe one day they'll also be the state rep for Salem. So, that's the update from the student advisory group.
Any questions for our student representative, our surrogate student representative? Superintendent's report.
Okay.
Switching hands.
Quickly, before we have the main event here, I just want to note that the baseball team won their playoff game 11-1 today, which was a big win over Manchester Essex. We don't know when the next game is. Tomorrow night there's there's a number of girls flag football games. The playoffs, Salem High is playing in that. I think this is the second year of girls flag football, and we have a good shot to do well. I think they play at least 2 or 3 games tomorrow. The first is against Barnstable, I think at 6 o'clock here at Bertram, and there's a whole bunch of teams that will be here. It's a very cool event to watch. If you make it to the state championships in girls flag football, you get to play at Gillette Field. So hoping that we'll all get a pass to Gillette Field here because Salem is going to be there. Graduations this week. It's a very busy week. We have 3 graduations on Wednesday night, New Liberty, Thursday night, the Prep, which will be at Root. New Liberty will be at the PEM, and Salem High is graduating on Friday at Bertram Field. And so this is a very busy but exciting week for all of our students. I'd also like to note, not just because we can't leave Tuesday out, tomorrow night we have a forum on the new high school building at Salem High School. It is at the Community Life Center, and you'll hear from many of our members of the building committee who will talk about the project, so you can learn about the timeline and the design of the new building. And we're also going to take comments and questions and feedback from the community. So that's tomorrow night. Is it 6:30, Miss Cornell?
Yes.
I think it's 6:30. 6:30 to 8 o'clock tomorrow night at the Senior Center. Okay, without further ado, I've talked way too much. You've all heard me talk for the last 15, 20 minutes, so they're all saying yes over here. So I'm very happy that we have real-life students here. I had the chance 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago to hear from an 8th grade group from Miss Jaw's class at Saltonstall, who did their civic actions project, and they walked all the way here to present to me in this very room their project, which I was blown away by. I was so impressed by the thoughtfulness. And normally I hear about these projects, but there's no solution to the concern that they've identified. I thought they had a very thoughtful and creative solution. And I wanted the school committee, I wanted the mayor to hear from all of your ideas, because it's going to take more than just me to help you make your solution come into fruition, but others on the committee can help as well. And so I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Jawel, and your wonderful students who are all 8th graders, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we able to look up our...
Yeah, so they're gonna put it up on the screen. There you go.
All right.
Is that, and there's a clicker, right?
Yes.
Okay.
On the podium.
Wow. Okay.
Will that work for you, or?
That's great. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
This focus can be on already.
stand over here for you guys. Okay. When you're ready.
This is our action service project. How CTE can help with food security in Salem, Massachusetts.
Ooh, sure this is it.
Can't hear them at all. They won't.
Oh, is that?
Can they go one at a time at the microphone? That's the only thing I just can't.
Does this one station connected?
I don't know.
I might just have to bring it to the podium. Yeah, I think you guys have to do it from the podium.
They gotta come over here. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. And then this.
Come on over here. Yeah,
It's because the people at home can't hear you on TV.
Right.
So
We got it
you
up
need
on
to
my
speak
computer,
through that
too.
Microphone. Unfortunately. Yeah, yes.
You guys can actually read it closer. Okay? Come over here.
Just don't want to miss anything there.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, we want to hear them. Yeah, we want the public to hear them.
All right, you guys have to stand there. Okay? You guys have to stand close to this. Talking.
Oh, you guys, I'm gonna restart.
Right in front of us.
This is our Action Civics project. How CTE can help with food insecurity in Salem, Massachusetts.
This is the agenda for our project, and we'll have time to answer questions after.
What is Action Civics? Action Civics is a class project Ms. Jal organized that we have been working on since January in our social studies class. Action Civics is about finding a problem in our community that we as a homeroom found together.
The goal of Action Civics is to find a way to fix that problem and to be able to accomplish that by the end of the school year. In our Action Civics project, we found a problem in our community and we tried to find something that we can do to try and make an impact on this big issue in our community.
What were some of the issues we brainstormed?
We started by writing down issues that we have noticed in our community on poster paper all around the room. We then took all of our ideas and wrote them on the whiteboard to narrow down some of our ideas.
Some issues we brainstormed. Issues with the unhoused population, cost of living in Salem, parking within Salem, access for handicapped people, issues facing the elderly population.
Our class, after brainstorming for a couple of days, decided to focus on helping the unhoused population, but didn't decide to really focus on food insecurity yet.
What we narrow our project down to?
We decided to narrow down our project to food insecurity among the unhoused population. We needed help with not only getting them good and fresh food, but also getting them places to live and cars so they can move around where they need to.
We realized that we would not be able to fix each of these issues because they are so complex.
Where did we get stuck?
Trying to figure out a long-lasting solution to the issue that was not just a canned food drive and raising money was where we got stuck. We already knew that a canned food drive wouldn't work well to fix an issue this big. We would need something that is permanent to fix this systemic issue.
We need to figure out things like how we would get the funds for whatever the final idea would be, how we would be able to have a variety of different foods, and transportation for the food. We needed to get some advice.
Can you read the title?
Who did we reach out to?
We reached out to 3 organizations, but only 2 responded. We reached out to Which City Action, Salem Pantry, and Lifebridge.
One of the people we met was Skylar Clark from Which City Action. We spoke to her on April 10th. She met with us virtually and took time out of her busy schedule to talk to us about food insecurity problems facing the unhoused population in Salem, Massachusetts.
One of the things she had mentioned was that this community would like to have access to kitchens so that they could cook. If they did not have access to kitchens, then they would need ready-made meals that were consistent during the week.
We also communicated to Mike Lilly from Salem Pantry on April 17th. He had the time to come into our classroom and talk to us about how the Salem Pantry is able to bring food to a good majority in Salem and parts of Lynn.
However, an issue they face was that they can't help as much as they would like to because usually the unhoused population tend to have poor dental hygiene, so there isn't much food to give them. He also made the point that this population wants kitchens, but they can't be provided, and that it would be a better option to provide ready-made meals instead of kitchen. However, it couldn't just be any kitchen. It would have to be safe and sanitary sometimes, or something that could safely make food to be sent out to people.
So what did we learn? Skylar Clark explained that the biggest reason why there's so many unhoused people is that the rent is going up and people are losing their homes. She also talked about how when people lose their homes, they struggle to get food. She told us that the Salem Pantry helps the unhoused people, but they can't cook the food. We learned churches have kitchens, so we had the idea to have a meeting with you, Dr. Reich, and the school committee to see if we can use Salem High School kitchens because it's up to code and has a lot of space.
Mike Lilly was our guest from the Salem Pantry. He told us that the Salem Pantry helps the unhoused population often. The Salem Pantry gives lots of canned foods and frozen meals, but the unhoused population has many different people and many different needs. Some people who are unhoused cannot eat certain foods. This information we learned from Skylar Clark and Mike Lilly made us realize that having access to kitchens in Salem High can help the unhoused population in so many ways. The Salem High Culinary Department gives a clean and up-to-code place for the food and meals to be prepared.
What became the focus of our project?
Figuring out how we are going to make and package pre-made meals and to send them out to the unhoused. And our class then realized that the main issue was trying to solve food insecurity in the unhoused community was
How the food gets provided, if they like it or not, or if they like the food, and the variety of different food.
With that, we hope we can use the kitchens in the culinary shop at Salem High to make all the ready-made meals for unhoused people.
What are we asking for?
We would love for the culinary department to start an internal program to make ready-made meals for the unhoused population. We're hoping that part of the culinary department's budget and time can be set aside to run this program. It might be possible to partner with Salem Pantry or Which City Action for food and distribution. We're asking for the Salem High School's CTE program too.
Let culinary students use their utilities and kitchen to help us give or get food to the homeless unhoused population. Give Salem High student community service hours for the student that help us out. The culinary art CTE program could help make these meals because they use a professional kitchen that follows all health department requirements. Find a partnership like Which City Action to help with meal distribution for people who are unable to get to Salem High School easily. The unhoused population is rising.
There has been over 1,600 homeless incidents in Salem, Massachusetts recorded in 2023 by the Salem Police. These incidents are proof that the organizations providing help to the unhoused population in Salem need more resources. Because this data is from 2023, this does mean that the number of incidents are likely increasing as the unhoused population has also increased significantly.
Recent data from 2007 to 2024, the overall unhoused population percentage in Massachusetts went up by 94.1%.
Federal funding cuts to the food banks.
Unfortunately, there have been funding cuts to the Greater Boston Food Bank, approximately $2.3 to $3.3 million. Food banks provide food to other pantries across Massachusetts, also providing it to unhoused people across the state. But with these federal cuts, it's going to be much harder for the unhoused to get access to food sources. This is one reason why we must take action to help the unhoused with their search for food.
Now that we know about these funding cuts, we must get creative with these ideas to help this issue. Because we have funding going to the culinary department, we might be able to help our students learn cooking while also providing meals to the population that needs access.
Where you come in. What we need from you is approval to create a program like this within the culinary department, set aside funding to create ready-made meals for the unhoused population.
Find food distribution services such as Which City Action or the Salem Pantry. Provide community service hours to students who participate in this program.
Our hopes for the future with this project.
In the future, we hope to see that in Salem High School's culinary department, they will hopefully be able to make and box of food so that they could be sent out for delivery to feed the unhoused community in Salem.
So hopefully when we are in high school next year, we can take part in this program to help out the most needy in our community. We hope that you really consider our project and find a space for this within our schools.
Does anyone have any question? We would try to help to reply, or Ms. Jal will try to help us answer.
Good job.
That was fantastic. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over members of the committee. Member Cruz.
Thank you so much for your advocacy today. I have to say this is probably the largest student advocacy-based project that we've seen come to the school committee chamber. So you probably broke a record today, which is great. And I think the issue that you picked is certainly one that this committee has been wrestling with for a number of years, and appreciate you thinking about the most vulnerable among us. And I was a culinary arts student, so this one hit near and dear to the heart. I would have loved to have done this when I was a Black Cat kid. Way back when. So as I look at the data that you're presenting, I guess one of the things that I'm always cautious about, and I saw a table here that didn't have a source. You had this one here that says top 10 states with the highest homelessness rate in 2024. Do you know where that data comes from?
I do, actually. If you are on your computer, unfortunately, so you're not on your computer, we actually put the links to all of our sources down at the bottom. For the unhoused population is rising, as well as the federal funding cuts to food banks, the articles and things that we got this research from. We have links down in the notes section at the bottom.
Thank you. So I'll check that out. And then my second question to the students would be, as you were engaging with the folks at LifeBridge and Which City Action, aside from the things that you've laid out here, did they name why other community-based organizations haven't taken on this kind of project of doing hot meals for folks that are currently unhoused? Are there any restrictions or limitations or barriers that they pointed out?
Well,
we should be aware of.
Well, most of the kitchens are not certified or approved for health. So basically, Salem High School's kitchen is the best example for what we need and what this idea can have. But the biggest idea, that's basically what they said. Is the kitchens they don't have kitchens where they can make the food for the homeless, for unhoused people, because unhoused people have bad dental. So if they just give raw foods that are hard, it's really hard to do that without apples. That'd be hard on their teeth. So we really need a kitchen to soften that food, to make pre-cooked meals, and it will just basically help out the whole entire community if we can get a nice, clean, certified kitchen.
So to add to what Aaron was explaining as well, so Which City Action, for instance, is a citizens organization. So when they would want to get together, there was a plan at one point to maybe make sandwiches and hand them out to the community. And they could have partnered with Salem Pantry to even get food in order to make that stuff. However, because they would be making it in their home kitchens, that's not health inspected, so it increases liability for a place like Salem Pantry. And that's something that's very common, where there's a lot of organizations that want to get involved, even churches, right, where they might have a kitchen, but it's has the leftover stove from somebody's home, and they have a very small kitchen. It's not really health inspected for some places. So some of these organizations can't partner with them, whereas we have kitchens that are inspected by a health inspector. So we could partner with these organizations. That's the thought process. And when it comes to that concept, you're fine. That concept of the bad dental hygiene, when we're talking to the Salem Pantry, we are talking specifically about an organization that provides produce. And produce, in order to actually be consumed easily by a certain subsect of this population, it needs to be cooked. So the food is a little softer and it can actually be consumed easily. So we're not looking at just partnering with Salem Pantry and handing out produce and vegetables and things. We actually do need to process what they have in order to hand it out and distribute it among the population.
Thank you.
Thanks. Other members? Member Campbell?
It's not a question, it's just a comment. This is one of the more creative solutions or civic engagement projects that I've ever seen. I get in my day job, I get to work with young people your age, and I see a lot of different types of Civic Day projects and things like this, and this is one of the most creative partnerships that I've ever seen proposed, so kudos to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank
Member
you.
Cornell.
This also isn't a question, but just a thought for next year when you all are going to be in your first year of high school is that I think once you're at Salem High and you can really start to engage with the culinary teachers and the students who are already in those programs, is that you really understand what the curriculum is, you will have a much better opportunity to kind of influence what's happening in those culinary spaces. So I wish this were the kind of thing where we could just vote on it today and go, this is a great idea, because it's an excellent idea, but you have the opportunity to keep up that civic engagement to make sure that it's really, it's embedded in the way that we teach at Salem High, which is actually pretty cool. So this is brilliant. You all did really well.
Thank you.
So I'll just echo what some of my colleagues on the committee said. This is fantastic, this idea. I know that LifeBridge has a kitchen and that they work hard to prepare meals for as many of the unhoused in our community as they can, but the need for more is significant right now with the cost of housing and also with the federal cuts that are, I think, starting to impact particularly food prices. So I love this idea, and I hope that you'll continue carrying it forward into the high school. And if you have the opportunity and you do want to continue it, we have people on the city's team who also work in this space. We have a food security coordinator who works in the health department and a housing stability coordinator that works out of my office. And this work is really central to the efforts they're doing too. So thank you for bringing this idea to us. And we're certainly going to continue the discussion about it. So.
Mayor, yeah, it was good to see you all again, and I know some of your classmates are coming back here on Wednesday, I think, right, Ms. Shaw? Another homeroom to meet with some other folks here. But I would just say one thing that's really important is you all have a chance to make an impact in your community. When you go to Salem High, as some people said, there are tons of opportunities in this city for you to get involved as a youth leader in the Youth Leadership Council, in the Student Advisory Group. We need your voices more than ever, and I'm pushing you. Look at, you all stood in front of here and gave great presentation, right? Like, don't underestimate. People listen to young people. To young people, they care what you have to say. And so I'm challenging you all to get involved next year at Salem High. I want to see you there or wherever you go to high school, but I hope you go to Salem High or New Liberty. We want to see you join these committees because you all have the opportunity to make the impact that unfortunately some of us as adults haven't been able to make. And so we hope, I just want to encourage you to join. I don't care if they say you're only a ninth grader. Ninth graders are just as important as anybody else in high school, all right? So remember that when you go to Salem High next year, and I'm really proud of you. I look forward to giving you your diploma or whatever you call it, your certificate at Salton Stall. I think the mayor will be there as well.
So.
Yeah, in a week and a half, and we're all very proud of what you all have done. And thank you, Ms. Jahl, for all the work you did with this group.
All right, you want to say your last?
Thank you for sitting here and through our presentation. Thank you.
We'll take a 30-second recess. You're free to, unless you want to stay for the discussion on leases.
Yeah, leases, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you to the parents as well. Thank you very much.
Great. So Fallon was like, I wish we had more time. With those kids.
Should be a ton about it.
Yeah, seriously.
Leases?
Whatever order you want to go in.
Yeah, we'll go to leases now. Do you want me to pass it over to you, Miss Polly?
Yes, good evening. We included in the packet was a brief memo about the leases, licenses, and memoranda of understanding that we have in the Salem Public Schools. I did not include a report on facility rental. So, for example, this committee has heard in the past about North Shore Rugby using the lower field at Salem High School. What I included in this memo was leases, licenses, and memoranda of understanding that include space inside the schools during the week, either during school or after school. And those agreements are such where we are the lessor or licensor, and we have made agreements with community-based organizations that are providing services to children. So in the memo, you can see that there is a range of agreements that we have. There are 2 child care agreements. There are agreements for after-school programming for children in elementary, middle, and high school. Some of them involve payments to the school district, and some of them do not. Notably, some of these agreements are expired, and some of them are current. So what I thought I would do is just do a quick voiceover for the agreements that were included in the memo, and then happy to answer any questions or find any follow-up information that the committee is curious about as part of the discussion. So just going in alphabetical order, one of our newer partnerships is a license that we have with Angela's Daycare. They provide childcare to young children, and they have an agreement with the Salem Public Schools that they will have 4 classroom spaces and outdoor play spaces at Salem High School for their exclusive use. This is active. We actually renewed this license in February, but it was dated from 12/1/2023, and it expires 11/30/2025, with the opportunity to extend it for 2 separate 1-year increments. So we can extend it at our discretion, November 30th, 2025 for another year, and then for a year after that. There is no fee paid to the Salem Public Schools for this. That was waived in exchange for subsidized childcare for staff at Salem High School, as well as students, and students who may be parents themselves, as well as a partnership with our CTE program where students in the early childhood pathway can work on the premises as part of their program to earn their credential. They are, interestingly, the agreement allows them to operate year-round and not necessarily follow the school calendar, which I think is a function of the service they provide, that young children need care every day and not just during the school year. We are responsible in Salem Public Schools for all repairs, including inside and outside, snow removal, lawn maintenance, outdoor maintenance. We also provide the custodial and utilities for this partner. So that is Angela's Daycare. We have 2 different agreements with the Boys and Girls Club, one of which is expired. So I'll start with that one. The Boys and Girls Club of Salem, Greater Salem, leases space in this building, in the Collins Middle School. They rent rooms 401, 402, 403, 404, 405, 438, and room 409 as office space. So they are here every day. And this agreement, this lease that they have, was in response to an RFP. And it was dated from October 2018 through September 2021. And it is my assumption that it was expired because in 2021, the school district and the city were thinking about other things, namely COVID. We waived at that time, it is my understanding that at that time we waived the monthly fee that the lease set, which was $2,150 a month, or a yearly payment of $25,800. We now are receiving those funds from the Boys and Girls Club, but the lease has expired. The Boys and Girls Club lease for this space does note that the program is closed when our building is closed on snow days, but they are allowed to operate during February and April vacation. The other arrangement we have with the Boys and Girls Clubs is for after-school programming at Salt Install. So they responded to an RFP in 2024, and we signed a contract with them that allowed them between September 1, 2024 and June 30, 2025 with 2 additional one-year increments, so we can renew next year and the year after, that they would pay $1,500 a month to the Salem Public Schools, or $15,000 a year because it's a school year program, to operate after-school programming for Salem Public School students at Salt Install. For that RFP, and I'm going out of alphabetical order, for that RFP, the YMCA also applied and received a contract to provide after-school programming for children in the Salem Public Schools. So the YMCA has a contract with the Salem Public Schools to operate after-school programming at Bates, Bentley, Carlton, Horseman, and Witchcraft. It is the same terms as the Boys and Girls Club after-school program, so September 1, 2024 through 6/30/2025, with the option to extend for 2 one-year increments. They pay $8,000 a month, or $80,000 a year, to use that space. And the other 2 that were included in the memo are also, one is an after-school program, which is LEAP for Education. This is a memorandum of understanding. So the Salem Public Schools received this year $222,000 from the Reed Trust, and that was to pass through to LEAP for Education to support the LEAP for Education programs that they offer in STEM, English literacy, college and career ready skills for underserved students. So LEAP in this MOU not only receives the $220,000, but we provide office space at Collins and Salem High School, and we provide space for the programs, including additional access to the facilities like computer labs and gyms. It's interesting that the MOU does note that given what close partners LEAP is with the school district in running the Expanding Horizons program and supporting the early college work, LEAP is given preference over other non-school partners in the schools if there's if they all want the computer lab, LEAP has the first choice. This is a long-standing partnership. We've given them funds from the Reed Trust at least as far back as 2019, with the highest amount in 2023 at $235,000 a year, this year $222,000. And the last MOU in this overview that I shared with you is Pathways for Children. This is a publicly funded preschool/Head Start program at Horace Mann. This is another expired agreement. The agreement was for 3 years spanning 2018 through 2021. Again, it is my assumption that in 2021, this was not renewed because of COVID, and we were focusing on other things. They have access to common areas, conference rooms, lobby, storage, spaces in the gym. They have access to the play spaces. Their agreement calls for a secure and consolidated location, as well as badges and a secure area for children. They also do contract with the Salem Public Schools as their vendor for their food. So we do provide the food, but we do not receive payment from Pathways for the MOU related to the use of our space. So I know you have the agreements, but those are just quick highlights that I shared. Generally, and you likely have more experience with this than I, generally when we are considering leasing a space, we have to go out and bid it and have an RFP. With a license, we can license space without bidding it. And I believe the same is true for the MOUs. I haven't found any sort of bidding process for the MOUs. So happy to talk through any questions you might have about either the process or the content.
Can I just add a couple things too? Thank you, Elizabeth. That's very thorough. I mean, this is the Wild West here. You can see I just want to put it out there. We acknowledge that we want to have a stronger process going through the school committee, because the policy does say, and I don't know that the school committee has really ever approved leases of substance. I know we just talked about this at a policy subcommittee meeting, but in the future, all these leases should be going to the school committee per the policy. I will say with Pathways, we have refused to sign, refuse is a strong word. We told them we weren't interested in signing at this point because we are looking at space across the district. So the bad news is this is all over the place. The good news is that we do control a lot of this, imminently. Like, we're not bound to any long-term relationships here, which is important as we look at utilizing space utilization in the coming years. There's nothing that prevents us from taking back any of this space. Obviously, I would say these are value partners, and they've been really good to us. They've been, more importantly, good to our kids. They run really important programming, and so, but there's obviously some area for discussion. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I think this is, I'm glad that this is out in the open tonight for us to look at. You asked to see it, and I appreciate the policy subcommittee requesting this information.
Questions? Member Cruz?
Thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the overview, Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent, of the different leases. I think to just provide some context where I think my questions lie, we need our facilities first and foremost for our expanding programs as a district. I'm curious to understand, like, in terms of these leases, who actually oversees them within the district. I don't know if it's the individual school principal, if it's through your office, Steve, or if it's Z.
But through facilities.
Through facilities, okay. Because I just want to make sure that for the leases that are currently in play, that all of our leasees are actually in compliance with their leases. So do we have any folks that are out of compliance with their leases in terms of, like, are they sticking to the spaces that have been provided to them? Are they coming in and coming back to us annually on issues that we need to address? Because I think the last thing that I would want to happen is folks are out of contract or in contract is that we get caught by surprise with a leasee that's not pleased with services that we're providing, or vice versa. We have a leasee here who isn't necessarily following everything that we've asked them to do.
I would say generally they have been very good partners. There is a fair amount of communication. I think we could, to be honest, I think we could monitor a little more closely. But I do think, there is a communication between different departments and these organizations. Taylor McDonald works very, very closely with the after-school programs on here, and so there's quite a bit of discussion with all the, and now with the CPPI grant for early childhood, there is more connection than we've ever had with both Pathways and Angela's, because both of them are now, as of this year, Angela's, it was always a part of the CPPI grant for a couple years, but Pathways is now in this year. And so there is more regular dialogue between Kate and Shauna Earps, who do a lot of the work with early childhood programming. But, I do think these leases need to get tighter. If we, at this point, I'm not interested in renewing many of them because we really need to have the utilization conversation. But I do think, and that's why I do think, it's good for the school committee to have eyes on these, because these are community partners. I do think some people are getting some really good deals here, to be frank. Some people are not getting as good a deal. And I know why these, we did have a lot of space in the schools. At least 5 years ago when Pathways, or no, more than 5 years ago when Pathways went into place, Angela's, there was always a space at the high school. Boys and Girls Club came in when Collins had more space, but now space is becoming a little more of a premium as we talk about the need to get out of a building potentially. Now all the middle schools here at Collins will be here next year. I know Gavin is trying to get as much space as he wants, and as he thinks he needs for students, and that includes the tension with the central office spaces and the Boys and Girls Club spaces. So I think moving forward, the best thing to do is that is to bring these MOUs forward to the school committee for scrutiny and review. which I don't, again, I don't know if that ever happened.
And if I could just add to that, what I would say is the partners who have agreed to pay us, they all pay us in a timely manner. So there's no question of, anybody withholding payment. I think they're in the different, as you undoubtedly saw in the different agreements, they all agree to keep the spaces clean. And if they're going to make any changes, they're responsible for those. I think the only thing I hear is whether they are satisfied with the cleanliness of the space and whether that is their responsibility or ours. But I would agree with the superintendent that we have largely had very positive interactions with all of these organizations as partners.
Thank you. Yeah, there's certainly valued partners on the list, and I just think with all the conversations we're having around our master facilities plan, our growing enrollment, and then even changes that'll be forthcoming at the high school, space is going to be at a premium. So, I worry that with full-time leases, that number one, we can't commit to our partners that they will be available, and some of these folks probably need to be putting themselves in a position to think about, like, what does it look like to partner in the district when a full-time lease may not be available because of our own growing program and footprint. And then I think the only other piece that I would ask is if there's a way to examine, like, what's the fair market value for rental leases in the district, because I do worry that I hear Steve saying some folks are getting a sweet deal, so the variation is clear to me as I look through the 5 of them, but I'm just wondering whether or not for the committee, if we can get some information about what is fair market value in terms of, like, the square footage that we're offering to these folks, so that if we are revisiting conversations about providing any of the partners with a lease, we're able to, at a minimum, have a conversation that's rooted in exactly what it is that we're giving up in exchange, so that we can make an informed decision about whether or not to proceed with asking for bids on those. So those would be my things.
Any other members? I think we are distinguishing, or we need to distinguish between the use of permanent, like the actual consumption of space that can no longer be used for any other program, and an after-school program that might be not an actual space, but more programmatic. And I absolutely agree that we need to make sure we're being consistent in the rates that I think we're asking, in equitable between all the different partners. It ultimately, like, if we move in a direction where these organizations aren't in the schools anymore, they still are valued partners in our community, and I think we need to help support them and help them find what that next steps are, in terms of that. But at the end of the day, school space isn't the priority for it, is school uses. And I think the discussion that we're going to be having around the future configurations of our district's programs will be informative around this. I have a specific question about Angela's daycare. So in lieu of the fee, there's subsidized rates for school district staff, high school staff, and access for high school scholars. Do we have data? Do they provide us data on how many participants in the program take advantage of that? What that comes
Kate
to?
was just requesting that data, so I can get you that data. The other thing they do provide that's not on here is they do provide scholarships for Salem High School students. I don't know if it's in the, I didn't see it in the lease, but I do know that that's part of the agreement, that they're supposed to provide scholarships to students, which they have been doing to the tune of a couple, tens of thousands of dollars. They have done that. I do know they have done that, but I don't know if it's part. I didn't see it in the lease. It's not. No. Yeah, and I would just say, like, these folks have all been sort of explained to them that we are in, we're analyzing our space. We're looking at examining our space right now. So none of it is going to come to a surprise. I will say, like, the after-school programs are essential that they happen at the schools. Parents rely on them, and we would have big problems if we didn't have, many of these programs, like the Y, Boys and Girls Club, LEAP. They're providing critical programming in our schools for kids after school and our families, and so we really do want them to continue to run in our schools, in the after-school space. Obviously, the Boys and Girls Club is interested in finding a more permanent space for themselves. That's been an ongoing conversation, and ultimately, it may be hard for them to continue to run, for them to use it, all those spaces. We'd like to see the middle school numbers continue to grow, and it would be a good problem to have that we have to take back some of those spaces.
But if I may, so if I understand this right, of those 3 after-school program providers, the LEAP one is the only one that doesn't have an option to renew their existing agreement with the city or with the district, right? The others have contracts that.
The other two
Just
came
leave-
through an RFP process, and the LEAP partnership did not.
And have they expressed an interest in continuing that partnership?
I don't know. I assume yes,
Yeah.
but I do not know that.
I would say the answer to that is yes. Yeah, in my conversations with Linda, yes.
Any further questions? No. Member Cruz?
Can I just ask a question about process? Because I know, Superintendent, we've received, I think, something from Pathways about like open houses. So I think obviously folks are looking to engage with members of the committee about the work that they do within the district. So I don't know if it's in the best interest of the committee for this to just come in as a up or down vote, or if it makes sense for us to be meeting to negotiate with these. So I guess I would just love to get a better sense of like what the process would look like, what it looks like in other districts since we haven't been doing this, whether it's something that we should be taking up in executive session, if we should be putting these things out to bid, if we should be meeting with these individual, folks to get a real sense of what services they're providing, what challenges have been, et cetera. But it doesn't feel right that we would just do a up or down vote without at least getting some more of a process to understand like where we're going to land with all these.
Yeah, I mean, we're not asking for a vote tonight, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely. I mean in the future.
My thought was to go to through the facilities subcommittee to bring, a draft to the committee, have them review it. If they'd like to invite members from the organization in, they could ask us to have that person come in if there's questions, and then we look to get a favorable vote from the facilities subcommittee to bring to the entire committee for a full vote at a meeting. That's how I would see the process running, is that, we would prepare something for their review, and then with their support, we would bring it to the entire committee.
Great.
Does that sound reasonable to you? And Elizabeth, correct me if you think that.
I'd be looking to my colleagues on the committee. I'm deferential to them on if that's the process they want.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I guess that's your committee, so I should be asking you that question if you're.
Yeah. Member Miranda.
I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about what kind of information you would be looking for. But I would be happy as the committee chair to try to set something up with the subcommittee around like meeting with partners to learn more.
Thank you.
So I guess my question would be, Steve, should we refer that now to Buildings and Grounds, just so you can kind of get this process started, given I think we're going to be having some conversations at the retreat and over the summer. Okay. So I just moved to refer all matters related to long-term leases within the district to Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee.
Okay. There's a motion made by Member Cruz, seconded by Member Campbell. Under discussion. Yep, Member Cornell.
I'm sorry, it just took me a second to find 3204, which is the policy I think we have a second vote on that tonight, but we put in there that the superintendent, in concert with Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee, would review any leases for duration of less than 6 months. So we wrote that into the policy that we're at a second read for.
Second read, but we wouldn't have another meeting till end of the month.
I'm just noting it.
Noted.
I don't have anything else to say about
Any
it.
further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the referral to Building and Ground? Any opposed? The matter carries. Thank you.
Okay, do you want to get to
the MSBA update?
We already did the update for the MSBA. We have a meeting tomorrow night, which is a community forum to discuss the new building design, timeline. We hope to have a lot of questions, give people plenty of time to discuss and tell us what they think. Tomorrow night, 6:30 at the Senior Center. And there are 2 building committees upcoming, back to back. I think on the 12th and the 18th. Is that right? Do I have the right dates on my calendar?
Those are right.
Yeah, 12th and 18. Yeah, I'll just stop there.
Member Cornell, do you want to have anything to add? Okay. Finance and operations report.
I have none.
Any subcommittee reports? Motions and resolutions. School committee regular session meeting schedule for 2025-2026. This was provided in the packet. Any discussion? Member Cruz?
Move to approve the school committee regular session meeting schedule for 2025-2026.
Second.
Motion made by Member Cruz, seconded by Member Cornell. Under discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Matter carries unanimous. Letter in support of House 3905, an act authorizing the City of Salem to employ automated enforcement of speed limit violations in designated school zones within the City of Salem. This is a home rule petition that was passed by the City Council earlier this year. It was the fourth time they've passed it and sent to the legislature. It's going to be before the Joint Committee on Transportation next week. Tomorrow. And this is an authorization to submit a letter, the contents of which were in the packet. Member Cornell drafted. I don't know if you want to speak to it at all.
I used the mayor's letter in support as a model and tried to make it a little more specific to the work that we've been doing over the past year, particularly with regard to the cameras and on buses. That gave us a lot of data. So that's about it. I think it's relatively straightforward, but if folks have changes, I suppose we can change something before the motion.
Your motion to approve the letter as drafted.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Any further discussion? Member Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just wanted to thank all of you for your input on this one. I know we worked on this one last session too. So tomorrow will be the hearing. So I would just ask that if any members of the committee would like to testify, we don't necessarily, I think I sent out the registration link, but if you'd like to come in person to Boston, just notify me today so that I can arrange a parking spot for you and we can testify as part of a panel, and then you won't have to wait legislators get to testify out of turn. So you can come to Boston. I can make it convenient for you. And I just think it's super invaluable for them to hear from the committee's perspective because we've done a lot of work on this. I think the letter speaks for itself, but if you do have the desire to testify tomorrow, I'm happy to join you all in a panel.
Any further discussion? Seeing none on the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. The matter carries. We have two policies for second reading. Policy 3204, lease and rental of school facilities, and Policy 6402, time and location of school committee meetings.
Take them separately.
You want to take them separately?
Yeah. Okay. Motion to approve Policy 3204, lease and rental of school facilities.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion, Member Cornell.
As a person who cares deeply about Salem children, I really appreciate the work of the pastors and churches who are doing such good work in the city, not just with children, but with all members of the Salem community. My church was incredibly important to me, particularly where I grew up, and it was a great resource for my family. So I really appreciate your work. And that said, it is the responsibility of the school committee to represent all public school students and families who should have the expectation that the work of churches remains separate from the work of Salem Public Schools. And even if that work is happening after school hours, our broader Salem Public School community is in our buildings after school and on weekends for sports and band. And we as a school committee have tried to be really consistent about this with regard to not recognizing religious holidays or celebrations in school. So this is
brings us into alignment with a more consistent perspective and with regard to policies around religious-based organizations and celebrations, holidays in our schools. But that said, I do think that this is a very good opportunity for churches and pastors to get some guidance from the city around possible alternative venues, because as everyone's noted, they do a lot of great work for our kids in Salem. And the mayor and the city's recommitment to the Children's Alliance kind of underscores the fact that we as a city are invested in making sure that we have partnerships with everybody who's serving kids. So I think it might be a great idea to, maybe put folks in touch with Sarah Roy to maybe just think about other options in the city. Because as Alicia noted, that they're providing an option for our kids that's really important. And I don't want to devalue that at all, but this policy is more in line with our current policies. So hopefully the city can provide some well-deserved support for groups.
Any further discussion? All right. On the motion for second reading of policy 3204, amendments, all in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, the matter carries. Policy 6402, time and location of school committee meetings.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Cornell, seconded by Member Miranda. Under discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, the matter carries. Announcements. Do you want to share the baseball news?
Yeah, so just two things. I just note that one of the dates for the school committee meeting is Rosh Hashanah, so we're going to have to make a change on September 22nd. And secondly, the baseball team is playing in Hyannis, for those of you that want to make the trip to Cape Cod on Wednesday afternoon. So that might be a long road to get out there and back in time for the New Liberty graduation. So I think I'll have to pass on that. But yeah, good luck to the witches and congratulations.
Member Miranda.
It's June 2nd, so just wanted to give a shout out to it being Pride Month and raise some visibility there. And then also just name publicly that I'm in full support of our families, our LGBTQIA plus students, school committee members that may identify as LGBTQ. And I look forward to serving on the school committee and doing what I can to make sure that our values are aligned with inclusion and true inclusion of our LGBTQIA plus students and staff.
Sorry,
Sure.
two more announcements. Our next meeting, we will be honoring retirees, and the reception will start at 6:15 on June 17th. So I hope that folks can join us. And then I'd also, to build on Pride Month, Salem Public Schools will be participating in the parade. And I would ask, we're going to have a contingent there on the 28th, I think Saturday the 28th, meeting at Shetland Park. I think it's at 11, right? Is that it, AJ, or 10? Yeah, and so we welcome anybody to join with us. It's a very important day, but it's also this whole month, as you said. I know hearing from students how important it is for them to see that representation matters. It matters among everything else that we do. I'm also going to send the school committee a speech that was written by a student at the senior solstice on Friday about inclusivity, which was an amazing speech that I think you all need to read about the importance of inclusivity in our schools. It was written from a young woman of color and about the challenges faced as a young woman of color and why schools need to continue to make sure that every child has a voice and belongs in our schools. So I'll share that with you. I think I shared it with you already, Mayor, which I think really captures the fact that we want to make sure that every child feels seen and heard in the Salem Public Schools. So, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Member Miranda, seconded by Member Campbell. Under discussion, seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.